In a small brown house in rural West Tennessee, a diminutive figure with failing eyesight, quietly and in seclusion, went about her commitment to say thank you in her own way to America, her adopted country. Every morning for almost 20 years, Clara Fodor meticulously placed thimbles on her fingers and began delicately weaving her needle through cloth to complete her mission. Utilizing an embroidery technique of laying satin stitches on top of the fabric, Clara crafted state flowers and animals, buildings and flags, figures and symbols to create 50 wall hangings commemorating each of the 50 states. It was her humble way of expressing her pride in her American citizenship. Clara Haluska Fodor was born in Budapest, Hungary in 1920 and immigrated to America in 1938.
My mother and I and my brother became on a ship, an English one, Aquitania, and it took a very long time to get into dock. Those little ships, I was just amazed. They were pushing our big one, you know, and seeing Miss Liberty, and that was really something, you know, I never forget. It was a beautiful sight, and I got it in mind. That and cherry blossom always comes into my mind. I always think that it's a wonderful place to be. I really got ahead very fast in school, you know, and I loved school. I always did. And then we lived in New Jersey, and finally I met my husband-to-be, and that was 2 years after we came, and I did marry Eugene, and we were married 45 and a half years.
Always fascinated by the textile arts as a child, but kept out of classes in traditional embroidery because of her poor eyesight, Clara taught herself the art of needlework. She became a prolific quilter. Before she and her husband moved to Tennessee, Clara undertook her state project with sheer determination and the support of her family.
Michigan was the first one that I made, you know, and I was so happy, and everybody thought it was, you know, fine. Then the kids started saying, my children, that Mama, what's wrong with Pennsylvania? They were all born in Pennsylvania. I says, well, I'll make a Pennsylvania one. Then my husband spoke up. He says, there is nothing wrong with New Jersey. I says, how about New Jersey? I made New Jersey. And then after that, I says, well, let's get going and make the quilts. And everybody said I will not finish 50. But I did.
She researched, designed, and executed each hanging, spending an average of 500 to 800 hours on the execution of each piece. Textile experts agree that it is rare to find such elaborate embroidery on a quilted piece, and to undertake 50 is amazing. Mrs. Fodor's satin stitches are so dense and uniform that the entire design appears to be pieceworked rather than embroidery. Clara's work has been exhibited at the National Folk Festival and at museums in Michigan and Tennessee. In 2000, Mrs. Fodor made a gift of her entire 50 States series to her adopted state of Tennessee, and they are now at home in the Tennessee State Museum. Although she was familiar with traditional European embroidery form as a child, she became an experienced American quilter, developed her own style, set her own standard, and became the master of it. Challenged by poor eyesight, few people can imagine that kind of personal dedication. In Clara's own words, you don't have to see it, you just have to feel it.
Joining Miss Fodor as she receives the Folklife Heritage Award is Commission Member Peggy Daniel from Selmer and Dr. Robert Cogswell, the Director of the Commission's Folklife Program. "65 years ago, I stood on the deck of Aquitania in the New York harbor and looking up at Lady Liberty. My mother put her arms around me, and the words she spoke I will never forget. Clara, remember, when you change your country, you must change your heart. My heart always be here." Thank you, Governor Bredesen. Thank you, First Lady Andrea Conte, Dr. Robert Cogswell, Bobby McGee, and Robert Holtener, and my family. They are the ones who helped me. Eastern Outback, America, Eastern Outback, Tennessee. God bless America and God bless Tennessee. Thank you.